how long do we have to keep this card before we throw it away? It feels rude enough to throw it away. Do I throw it away right away? And so obviously it's great to have that because how many times are you gonna open that card again and read it necessarily, depending on who it's from, I guess. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Ground Up Podcast. My name is Matt Walton, here with my co-host as always, Matt Huber. How you doing?
Oh man, I'm great. I got to get to the gym in this morning. Business has been so busy. I, for the first time in I think 4 years, went to the gym last night after 6 o'clock. And that is a no-no for me. It's way too busy in the evening. So I got to get in the gym this morning. So today's a good day.
Yeah,
How about you?
6 o'clock gyms. I can't do 6 o'clock gyms. Anytime after work where it's just, you can't get anywhere in there. It doesn't make any sense. Yeah, everything's good, man. Obviously we've been super busy this past week. The kids have been great. So that's all, nothing to complain about really.
My mom always told me, don't bother complaining because nothing's going to change regardless. So just change the outcome instead of complaining about it.
Hey.
Well, perfect. So we've got a guest today, obviously Andrew. Andrew is the founder and the CEO of a company called Forevercard. This is an idea that was brought to my attention a few weeks ago. And it was, to me, such an interesting out-the-box idea that I thought, man, as soon as it was explained to me by Andrew, I was like, oh, that makes so much sense. There's such a gap in the market for that. So, Andrew, I can never do the justice of explaining it as well as you can. Before we get into Forevercard and kind of what you've got going, how are you today?
Doing well. Thanks, Matt and Matt. Good to be here. Thanks for inviting me. And I'm doing well.
Awesome. So if you can, tell us a little bit about Forevercard. Once again, in my mind, it is a fairly straightforward thing that I think that there's probably just a huge gap. And I think you would agree. And I think the ability to think of this, I think, is such an impressive thing. But talk to me a little bit about what your idea was and kind of the implementation of it.
Sure, absolutely. So I'll start with the simplest concept, right? It's a greeting card. It's much more than that, right? But the idea is that both for consumers who mainly buy their cards in shop, that process of buying a card can be challenging. So we're making it very easy to mail a card with a gift card from anywhere, your phone, your laptop, and then it comes good old-fashioned U.S. postal in the mail. You get the typical message. There's not one here. This is, just a printed one with no message. But you get your typical message. The difference is that you now have a QR code. And when you scan that, you're now on the person's phone, and it could be a video of you saying happy birthday, happy holidays, and there's a gift card. And the whole experience is stored forever. So these beautiful sentiments that people write touchy-feely stuff about, it goes in the garbage. Well, you could throw that out and it'll always be in the cloud under your memory box with the video. Over time, you've got a video library of all your nearest and dearest saying happy birthday, Merry Christmas, what have you. So that's the basic concept. And what we're doing is we apply it both to the consumer market as well as B2B. So if you want to say thank you to your customers or your employees, you could do that at scale. Mail a card at scale with a thank you message from the CEO, the HR director, or have a more polished marketing video, or use it for prospecting. Why not put your elevator pitch inside a card and get directly to your decision makers outside of the inbox where they're flooded, and into the mailbox where they're not. So that's and then of course there's stuff like analytics, but we can get into that.
It's a great concept though, because whenever we get birthday cards or whatever, I have to ask my wife, how long do we have to keep this card before we throw it away? It feels rude enough to throw it away. Do I throw it away right away? And so obviously it's great to have that because, how many times are you going to open that card again and read it necessarily, depending on who it's from, I guess. But being able to pull that up and have a video of somebody. I have a question for you though on it, just out of curiosity here. Do you think that there's any pushback with the business that you have that people might be reluctant to scan a code right away just because of scams and things like that, and how do you get past that?
Yeah, it's a great question. There's definitely things been raised to us about security concerns. Part is knowing the sender, right? So if I see my return address is from Matt, oh, I know Matt, boom, scan it, the trust goes up. If it's more on the business end, what we suggest is put a little face, right? So we're experimenting now, we're early stage, but put a little headshot like you do in your email with an arrow, right? That's just and then a message watch my video, maybe put your URL so people can check your URL. Things that, things that worked in the digital space, applying it to here. But yeah, definitely a concern, and things we're figuring out ways to get around it like that.
That's a good point, Matt, because I didn't think about that in our first conversation, Andrew, which is like, if I'm getting some random person sending me a card with a QR code, what is the likelihood of hesitation that the average person will have if they don't know you? Now, in the world where I'm sending it to my employees, I think easy problem to solve, right? Sending it to customers of mine, and it's branded as the name of my business and they've done business, easy problem to solve. But in a world where, and you and I had this conversation around using it as a way to prospect people, is when they don't know you, how you can overcome that concern. I think that idea is great. I think that maybe even having the name of the individual plus maybe like a URL link to the website or a URL link to their LinkedIn page or something, especially if it's a professional environment. I'm sure you've thought about all of these ideas. What are some maybe other... Go ahead. Yeah, what you got?
Here's another thing. So on the business card, so I showed you a consumer one. On the business card, there's also a landing page with, like connect here to book a meeting or to learn more. And then in the written part, we're also going to put your signature. So it'll have your email, your name. You could put anything, there. So those are some other ways.
Going off what you guys said, I just got an idea about it and how this works. I work in the wholesaling space. That's what's real estate wholesaling, and so we do. That's my main business that I run, and then me and Matt obviously run our business together for virtual assistants, and we're working into an AI business here. One of the big things that people do with wholesaling is trying to find houses, right, and trying to find people that want to sell their houses. And one of the things they do is mailers. Direct mailers. Mm-hmm. And so my thought is, obviously you have to get past the, is this a scam or am I going to scan this parts that if you can get past that. But if you change your mailers to that, you can maybe have a direct report of like, hey, my name is Matt. Here's a report about your house and what the values are looking at. Here's what your neighbor's house is sold for. And this is what I think that we can get for your house on that. If you want to, interested in selling your house, here we go.
I love that. I think that's perfect. I read a Dean Graziosi book about that. And I think that also kind of spoke to me, as there's so many ways. And what I love about this, I have heard so many different ways to use this product. And I've been in business for a long time. I don't have to be at an industry trade show. Everyone gets greeting cards. And then everyone thinks about, in my business, I would do this. So it's just cool thing.
Yeah, it's like when you shared the idea with me, I instantly took it to automotive, right? That's my background. You've got some background in automotive. That has a little bit of background, but I instantly took it to automotive. And then Matt, it's funny, he instantly said, here's how it could be utilized there. And now, Matt, let me ask you this, because my concern of that process is the amount of work that would go into creating that report with the ROI. And so I know that when I had thought and talked with Andrew about this a little bit more, one of the things we talked about, which is how do you make it as personalized as possible without the investment of your time up front? So Matt, with that being in mind, what would you do to make it more effective without you actually going in and pulling on a full report or an audit? Because I can imagine the amount of time you'd go to do that for all of the properties would be a very time-consuming thing.
Connecting AI, 100%. And so you got an AI, I can have it change, obviously, who I'm speaking to and say, hey, Matt, or hey, Andrew, depending on that. It's an easy switch. I record one video off it and then just have it change the words off of that. And then there's AI tools that can pull reports and they have CMAs and they have, comping tools and things like that you can use. If you can use AI to pull those and stick them into the report, maybe there's a way to automate it so it goes a little faster than having to do every one of them. So I think that's probably the best way right now with AI added into this tool. I think you can really speed things up and just have things going out without even knowing.
It's funny. I shared a similar idea to Andrew when we spoke a couple weeks back, and actually sent him a video of the AI that our team had done with me. Andrew, the technology is crazy. Last night I sent a picture of my son, who's not even 2 years old, to my team, and then they had him talking with my voice. So he was like, I don't know if you've ever seen those videos of like the babies talking in like Joe Rogan's podcast. They had that doing that for us as well. And so the utilization and implementation of AI in this process, I think would be huge. Now, I know that you guys, Andrew, are at surface a greeting card company, but in reality, you're a technology company. So I'm sure these are things that you guys have already thought about. as Matt shares that idea, and you guys have probably thought about this 10 times over, where is the implementation of technology involved in the true, I would say, value out of your business?
Yeah, so there's a lot of ways you can go, and that's a great point, right? I think we have to logically divide it up on the roadmap of what makes sense to develop first, like what's not in the industry. What is the industry going to demand? And like right now, what's not available is cards, video, gift cards, and memory together, right? So, like that's the core, that's the engine. So that's the technology that we're building, partnering with the best providers out there, reinventing the experience of buying the card as well as the experience of receiving it with the video, the streaming, the gift card, and then storing it. And then to that, it's some other obvious ones, right? Analytics, running a sequence. So someone, let's say in real estate, could say, yeah, my first message is going to be the prospecting. Then maybe after I get their birth date, then a birthday message. Maybe if after they get into my funnel, a thank you message. So like things like that. But then of course, things like you said, more personalization things. So the personalization one would be what we call like a nice to have, right? But the reason that people do it today in email is because it's a flooded channel. There's 300 billion emails sent daily. The average executive has 120 emails sent that they have received that they have to go through, and they delete half of them in 5 minutes. They get a 0.5% conversion rate, industry average. So 20,000 emails get you 100 responses, and maybe you get 10 meetings. So compare that to 5% response rate that direct mail gets. You're 10 timesing it, just good old-fashioned postcard. Now add video to that, and now you're increasing conversions by, I forget what it is, like 3 times. Either click-through rates go up 3 times and conversions go up 80%. You're just making ROI go through the roof. So while hyper-personalization is important and critical in email, it's not so critical in direct mail yet. Fast forward 5-10 years, if everyone's doing this, we might completely have to change that. But we probably won't wait that long until we build in those hyper-personalized, AI features like you described.
No, and I'm sure the answer to this question might change based off of the team that you have. But is there like a target ICP type of business that is like, these are our first, second, third attack mode areas? I know you and I had a conversation around automotive. Matt's discussed the wholesale business, but is there a place that you feel like this is the prime place for you to attack today?
Yeah, great question. So I think part of it is onboarding, right? Like this will work so effectively for so many businesses, but some businesses aren't as used to recording videos as others. So then for us, that they could be a great customer, pay us money, but if they're not recording their videos and using the product, that's a problem. So where I see great use is a B2B company that's already doing email outreach with video. Maybe they're using Loom today, and they're creating that content because they're doing the 3 things we need: video, write the body of the card, and do a data import, right? So a B2B SaaS is probably a perfect fit for this.
Got it. Okay. That makes total sense. And I know that some of the other things that I found were very attractive about what you guys do on the back end, which is the data analytics. I don't remember if it was you or somebody else I was just discussing the idea with, talked about, imagine you getting involved into a political campaign and being able to have, just say, Greg Abbott, who's our governor here in Texas. He's running again for governor, which I don't actually think he can actually do again, but let's just say he could. And he's sending out to all of his constituents a campaign card, and it could be personalized or not, but it could then link to a survey that says, we are interested in knowing more about what's important to you as a Texan. And then so now we have the analytics to know that the House received it, somebody clicked on it, they went to the survey, gave analytics, and I can imagine how valuable that data would be to a campaign or even a political party to be able to understand the messaging that they should be emphasizing to their audience in certain town halls and certain communities, or overall in regards to their overall campaign.
Yeah, so that's an interesting thing because it kind of touches back to your other question about technology. So these are the areas where we look at what's being done today and how could it be better with technology. So one is the video, giving it much more exposure. You turn the print experience into a static print, goes in the garbage, to now you're watching a video, which increases views back to whatever you want them to see on the site. You add the potential for them to share that video on their social channel. So now you increase reach and impressions, and then you turn your recipient into your biggest influencer because they can now share with their network. But then you can do other cool things, which is where we think we're going to add the best value. Like what you just said, Matt. Imagine if now that one-way form of communication, I have a message for you as a political candidate, turns into, here's my message. Now, what do you think as a voter I should be worried about? And now, so we're partnering with a company that does that sort of thing, which does surveys, but then also gives like AI sentiment, so it can look at the person as they're filling it out and see if they get angry because you talked about a topic, or they got excited, and then again just changing that into a two-way conversation, and the data behind that, I think that could be truly a game changer for any political candidate using that feature.
Yeah, and you can also take that and it's a good way for getting people to opt into certain things for like email campaigns after that, or text campaigns or something that they do. You can send that in if you fill out this. You'll obviously have the automatic opt-in to whatever, receiving text and stuff. You can get information, accounts. You can get them as much data as you need to off of that, which I think is a great way to go about it. So I'm wondering, with Forevercard here, obviously one of the biggest goals you have is to partner with a bunch of companies and to find different avenues and industries and everything, because it can be used for a bunch of different things. What's the long-term goal for Forevercard in your business, in your mind?
I think be the default way that people, purchase and receive cards, on a consumer basis. And then for businesses, be the default way maybe that they engage, retain, and grow. So, you want the forever client. Well, for one, start with an emotional connection of a card and a video, introducing yourself, putting a face behind it, right? People do business with people they know, like, and trust. So now you put a video, that's your first contact, not an annoying spam message that they're gonna be like, delete. Who is this guy?
Yeah.
Right? So that's one. Now you nurture that relationship. Wherever they are in the pipeline, you're then touching them, separating yourself from your competitors, because now you're sending thank you cards after you did that demo, or after they, in Matt's case, they came in for a test drive, if it's automotive, right? They buy the car. Now the general manager says, thank you so much. I'm here with Gus, the service manager. I want you to introduce yourself. Now Gus sends a card, and now that first oil change, they know Gus. It's all about the emotional connection that you get with a greeting card versus any other form of, promotion or marketing, and making that lifetime value, the retention after you get the customer, just, retaining that customer and getting to know everyone on your team, and just, securing that relationship that you worked so hard and paid so hard to get in the first place.
Do you have a CRM that
making sure, one more thing, that making sure you thank your staff, right? Because if you think about it, who's the important people? Employees, customers. You can't do anything without them. So make sure you thank your employees too, and drive up that recognition.
Yeah. Are you guys connecting, have the ability to connect with other CRMs that has your things going out, or do you have your own CRM in the background that people use? Because I'm just wondering, how do you keep up with the follow-ups? Where do you store, if people reply back to something or store the data? How are you guys doing all that?
So we're early stage, right? So a lot of this stuff is on the roadmap, and as we start to see traction and we get people that are saying, hey man, I gotta solve this problem, it's a hair on fire problem, we're gonna do a paid proof of concept. We're gonna build that based on who's giving us money. But it's gonna be a lot of integrations. We're not trying to reinvent the wheel. Like, we don't want to be a HubSpot, a Salesforce. We're going to integrate with the best tools that already have that sequencing capability. And this is just going to be that, that engine. Hey, you want to get a card out with video and gift card? Boom. Include that as part of your sequence at this step using those CRMs.
So I'm guessing, you obviously have to make this as simple as possible, because you want to make sure that people will actually record the videos, because, that's a big problem with people just having to actually do the first step to get it out there. How do you guys solve that issue and that bottleneck you might have, where it's like where people will struggle to make the videos consistently, or do the videos that they need to do, or get lazy and just don't want to do it? Is there a way that makes it so easy for them to do that, just second nature?
Yeah, one of the ways is to use this solution Matt turned us on to. Something like that before we build our own. But what was that company?
My team had found it and provided it. I could find the answer. I don't know off the top of my head.
There was one that we used before in a sales role that I did called StreamYard, where it had an app, and that when for example, when we do door-to-door stuff, when we go out to people's businesses, and when we wouldn't get the business that the owner wasn't there, what we would do is we would have StreamYard, the app, pull up, and then we'd take a video of ourselves and say like, hey, just stop by your office here. It's right behind me. I'll try to meet you and talk to you about this. Send that video over to them, and then try and get engagement off of that.
Yeah, I mean, there's a version of like that with Loom now, right? Like you can do Loom either on your computer or your phone, and then there's a ton of data analytics behind that. That's kind of, I think, Andrew's general idea, which is like take the value of Loom, put into the front of the value of the sentiment that goes into a Forevercard, and you increase the nostalgic side and the long-term feeling that you get from the card, but you have the data that Loom can provide. So I would assume that just means, Andrew, creating an in-house video creation app or platform that makes it really simple and easy for people to be able to do their videos, whether it be on their computer or in front of somebody's house, and then having all of the analytical data behind that video.
Yeah, exactly. At the end of the day, it's a platform like Instagram or Loom or whatever, right? We're not creating the content. We enable people to create it quickly and easily. However, if we notice that people are having a bottleneck, we do think that we might have to get into video production, and the easiest way to do that might be to use a solution where, hey, record 1 minute talking, say this, first step of onboarding, and then our AI tool will just make it say whatever according to whether it's a birthday, a thank you. It might end up going that direction.
Yeah, and that's what I was telling you about, Andrew, the other day is I think that if you can have, in theory, if you could have one person standing into the perfect setup, they don't even have to say anything, they just move their mouth, they use their hands, however you want that body language and that way they're going to talk and present themselves to be, then you can have templates built inside of the CRM that you guys have that would say, here's the happy birthday template. Here's the thank you for being a customer template. Here's the congratulations on your 1 year anniversary template. And then that same visual of me talking in this certain setting, not saying anything, can then use that same exact recording for every single one of those templates. And there's just a trigger that you check in the CRM or that automates in the CRM that then identifies pull customer name or employee name, customer's vehicle, and then that kind of ties into the data. And there's really nothing that the client has to do and you guys have to do if you build it. But I know why Matt asked the question, and Matt and I have really gotten deep into this as we're trying to create our own technology and software, mostly around the AI side, which is a big lesson he learned from somebody, which is do all of the hard work internally to make it as easy as possible for your consumer. And the easier you can make it for the consumer and the harder you have to make it for your team, the better long-term proposition you'll have, right? Did that kind of say it right, Matt?
Yeah, I mean, the bottleneck is always human beings and whether they're going to actually do the work or not. I mean, that's what it comes down to, right? And if you have to think about it or think about our attention span, how it is nowadays, if you have to spend a little time to figure something out, a lot of people will just scrap it and move on. And if they can just make it as simple as possible, click this button and do this and do that, then it's more likelihood for them to stay on and stay with you for a little longer. I'm sure you're seeing the same thing, Andrew.
Yeah, and like you said, right, the video production can be a bottleneck, and we think that a lot of people are going to opt for maybe it's a 30-70, where it's like 30% personal, 70% like polished marketing videos, right?
Yes.
Let's take the book, and any sales book, but just the one that's top of mind because of our research is Gary Keller's book, The Millionaire Realtor, right? He says you should be in front of your customers 33 times in 1 year. So we would say, all right, use our platform to make 12 of those touches a monthly card touch. And where, maybe 8 out of 12 of those are polished marketing videos with kind of like what you said, Matt, here's a market update on one side of the card and maybe a video about the season you're in, why spring is a great time to XYZ, and we'll create that content for them probably so that it's plug and play. I'm in month whatever, play, and then the sequence starts.
Now, I know you mentioned, Andrew, that you guys are in early stage of the business, and that might mean different things to different people. But right now, when you what would you say are your 2 or 3 biggest things you're working on today to be able to be as effective as possible? Is it getting your message in front of as many customers? Is it revenue? Is it marketing and branding? Is it still building out the technology on that roadmap? I mean, what are the priorities? Because I ask these questions because Matt and I struggle with these things as well. As the roadmap's one thing, and the roadmap dictates go to market, which dictates the marketing message, and they kind of all end up working together, but there maybe is one kind of our theme here, bottleneck that's stopping us to be able to do the others. Where's your priority and where's your gap right now?
So it's a great question. Early stage, I thought, hey, I could just build this with some help from a team overseas, and it was just going to be direct to consumer. And then I realized to build what I think was possible and needed in the space, I'm going to need a team. So I kind of hit pause. I put out some ads on LinkedIn for equity-only partners, and I got a great team, 20, 30-year industry veterans in Silicon Valley, marketing people, CFO, CPO, all the key ingredients of the team, got them rowing in the same direction, and as well as finding a great development team overseas that we could partner with that had a good reputation and deliver. So now that that's done and we've got like an MVP type product, it's a combination of marketing. As I mentioned before the call, we just got, because we had this direct to consumer site, which was a little bit confusing. People are like, wait, this is for friends and family, or this is like an e-card. So it was getting the messaging correct. And creating a whole nother business experience. And now getting that business site out there is most critical because we need to find our early stage customers. And getting our early stage customers is going to help us move from hypothetical, theoretical data, right? Everyone, based on the people that have experimented with, video in all types of media, we know that putting video on anything works. Every platform is doing it and having more success when they do video. But now it's really at scale getting people that use it and then going from, hey, do you want to try this? We think it's going to work, and we know it's going to work because we have done some experimentation, but really from there to now, hey, do you want to be like Susie, who was doing this other method over here and then switched to Forevercard? And with this solution, she 5x her ROI. Or do you want to be like Bobby, who was doing B2B SaaS? He was struggling with cold email outreach and LinkedIn, and now he's doing this, and he is crushing it, because now you're moving into case studies and solution sales. So that's where we need to go, and we're trying to go right now, getting those early stage customers, led sales, also getting the funding, because those early stage customers, we're bootstrapping, right? So we're funding through those early stage subscriptions to build the roadmap.
Yeah. And so you guys are in the process right now of obviously building your case studies and your proof of concepts and getting your beta testers, and I'm guessing is what you guys are doing right now. And it's like, so you're looking for a specific, are you doing like across multiple different industries? Are you doing it across one specific industry? Or are you doing as much as possible?
Yeah, we would, right now, we're taking anything we think that is going to be close to the use cases that we think are going to be most successful, right? So, and they're kind of going back to basic business examples that are already successful. If you do them in card format, you should be thanking customers with a card, right? So that basic concept, add video to that, add gift cards, add analytics, thanking employees, so employee recognition, prospecting, right? That's going to be a huge one that I think won't be hard for us. I think people are struggling and really dying for a better solution because of how hard email it is, right? It's like an arms race right now. So I think that doing prospecting through direct mail, which, by the way, I scaled a company called NinjaCat using direct mail. We mailed socks to our ideal customers, which were digital agencies, with a note that said, hey, I just want to get my foot in the door, see if you're having the same challenges with reporting as other agencies we've helped. And it crushed it. So I know that direct mail works. And so using it for prospecting use case is going to be great. But then there's some other things after talking to people where people are saying, hey, what about consumer packaged goods? Where you've got a brand, why not include a card with the manufacturing process? Or political campaigns or nonprofits, donor retention, want to have a video of where that person's donation went, how it helped to fuel the mission. So any of those we're willing to experiment with because we're probably going to be going in that direction anyway. And it won't be too much of a stretch for the product to do that with what we have today.
One of the things you said is, as you were building out your equity-only type of program that you did ads on LinkedIn, that created demand. You wanted to really put together an all-star team. Matt and I were meeting with another entrepreneur a couple of weeks ago, and he was in phase 2 of the second business he was building, and we asked him what was the differentiator of the first business that he built and sold and transitioned away from, and he said the number one difference was the all-star team he was able to put together. And Matt and I have been having a lot of discussions in that we've been in business for a year and a half. And I think that our first year and a half has been primarily we've hired a lot of incredibly valuable, loyal generalists. And Matt and I have our own expertise that we believe in development, mentoring, coaching. So I've hired a bunch of entry-level salespeople, which is my background, and I've taught and trained people to become junior versions of me inside the business. And Matt, being a real estate wholesaler and entrepreneur, he's hired people with similar personality traits to him. And we've had a lot of success in building our staff from 0 to over 60 overall employees that we currently have today. But where we found is that as long as we're sticking to the people in the areas we do, we have trouble expanding in the areas where we're not strong at. So we've recently made the objective to get into AI. Matt and I are not AI experts, so now we need to bring in an AI expert, right? We need to bring that equity-based partner to start bringing our all-star team together. We are getting heavily more involved into marketing and advertising, and this podcast has been a great avenue for us on that. And we're tripping over ourselves figuring marketing out, but we haven't mastered it. And instead of us trying to read a bunch of books and take a bunch of courses and learn from all the gurus, why don't we just bring in the person who's done it that is willing to help us build it? And that's kind of the evolution that we are going through in our business. Now, one of the things I've done, and I'm going to share this to our audience, and Matt and I are doing this together in 2 different areas. I saw on a podcast I heard about a very, very successful entrepreneur using AI to build out a board of directors until they can establish that all-star team. So over the past multiple weeks, I've been spending hours every week interviewing ChatGPT and letting ChatGPT interview me. So I pull up my app, I hit the audio side of it, and I go for a 2-hour walk. And I just start prompting it to ask me questions. I tell it everything about my business, everything about my staff. I download everything about my business. Then I said, I want to build a board of directors. What should I look for? Who should I look for? What gaps do I have? And so then I spent about an hour making sure it understood my personality and persona as a leader, Matt's personality and persona as a co-founder, and then establishing a foundational board around our weaknesses, around marketing and the chief technology officer and all the different things that Matt and I's expertise doesn't align with, to round off our edges until we're able to supplement this virtual board with an actual board. Now, I've then taken all that research and I've given it to Matt, and then he is supplementing it or will be supplementing that. Matt, I don't know if you've come to the conclusion of how you will use that data to then help you kind of take a slightly different approach, but I don't know any thoughts.
Go ahead, Andrew.
That's for you, Matt.
Oh, for me? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously I want to, what you talked about beforehand is us going to kind of having our board meetings, which is going to be crazy to do with the board meeting with AI and just kind of asking it questions. But, obviously I think that one of the biggest things is challenging it and what it says and making sure that, hey, what is this based off of? What is this data based off of? And getting it from there and having the different perspectives of each person being a different personality. Yeah. So it's not like the same personality over and over again and ones that fit us. I think it's, I've done that with my real estate business so far. I'm working on that right now. With our business in here in general, I'm taking what you say and I'm trying to figure out a different angle of taking it, because I think that putting both of our minds together and going after it is better than just going in alignment with it, because you can do the same thing. Now, Andrew, you built your entire team yourself, obviously, of real people and not AI on that. Is there advantages or disadvantages, or when you're hearing us say this, is there something you've thought of or gone over? I just want to know your thoughts on that.
Well, I really like where you're going with what you did, and that's also why I'd love to work with you guys one day. We're not trying to reinvent the wheel. We're trying where we don't need to, right? So I've done sales development training. I don't really want to have to manage a team of salespeople or BDRs. It's gonna probably end up slowing me down, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Instead of partnering with someone that's already an expert, that already has a team, that can do the hiring, right? Same thing with development. I would rather hire a dev team that can find the devs and just add them to build faster than me have to worry about that problem, right? I'd rather focus on figure out the strategy, how do we build the best product? Okay, I love that idea of hey, I don't have a board member, let me plug in AI. But I do believe using AI strategically in ways to leverage the strengths of AI to, like for example, look at marketing data, figure out, hey, what should we create about a blog? We got all this data of all these users now. We need to figure out benchmarking. If you're not doing this, you're below the benchmark. Figure that out. Right. So I totally think that you're on the right track with AI, using it, because it's like one of those things. What is it? I think it's like 2,000 new AI companies are coming out. So people are creating it just because it's a buzzword. But then there's a lot of people that are using it in ways that make sense in different industries. But a lot of those companies are probably going to, collapse because they're just like, oh, I create an AI company because it's the thing to do. We're not an AI company at heart, just like you guys aren't. But there are some real strategic ways to use it. We're going to have, eventually, we want our users, at least on the consumer, but also on the business side, to be able to come in and say, picture you're walking into a store and you're at that card rack. And you say, you know what, these are great, but nothing's quite matching. But now you could say, hey, you know what, create a card with my dad on the golf course and put him in his lucky red shirt. And I don't know what to say for Father's Day. Write me something funny but touching. Boom, now you got a custom one-off card, a custom message, and then guess what? We're going to allow you to even sell that with a royalty in our marketplace. So I'd rather work on how do we build the infrastructure? This is going to be the game changer, to this business, and then bring in the resources, whether it's AI or people, strengths in that area. And then another key thing is, in terms of strategy, the equity component really sets apart people that can do the job from the juniors who are going to spin their wheels for a year or two to train up to where you need them to be. It's just like, oh, I'm not getting a salary, boom, this is out, and it leaves you with the 20-year industry vets that are like, they're onto something here, and I want to work with them because I know, what I could bring to the table.
Yeah, and that's what we look for too, absolutely, is for people who are interested in the long-term investment in this and what it's going to build right now, not the short-term salary of what you can get right now. Because obviously, if you can build something and you have a vision, and that person that's an equity partner with you and has stake in that business is like, hey, I want this to be successful because I want my work that I'm doing right now to pay me later on. I think it's a great one. And I'll make one more point on AI that you said is, I actually was watching a video with Jeff Bezos. He was talking at some conference, something like that, about AI in general.
Yeah.
He said one of the things that's crazy to him is exciting him too is that AI is going to affect literally every single industry, and it's crazy how he's excited to see how it's going to affect every industry and how every industry is going to be changed. It's not just like one industry's benefits from AI. Every single one of the industries out there has to now utilize it in some way, shape, or form to keep up in the way it is, and I think it's a crazy thing to have.
I was listening to a podcast yesterday, and they were talking about, and I forget what podcast it was. It was on Piers Morgan. He was talking about he's got a buddy of his who we lost Andrew. A buddy of his who's a doctor. And he took a 3-week vacation. And by the time he came back, he was blown away with the amount of advancements that had happened around AI in the 3 weeks that the doctor had run. So you would think that maybe a doctor would at least still be such a vital part. But I mean, even that is going to just continue to need to evolve AI in that process. I mean, to your point, I don't think of a single place that AI won't be integrated. And I think the biggest challenge, Matt, I have with AI right now is such an intimidating thought. If I just go through my social media and I'm just digesting stuff about the amount of advancement that's happening on itself day over day over day. I mean, just all these new ChatGPT rollouts of now you can use it to do full video editing. We've got a team of video editors, but can ChatGPT ultimately do video editing as well as our video editors? I don't know, but it probably can. I mean, we've been using Riverside for our podcast, and it does a bunch of AI stuff. We've used Opus Clip in the past, and there's a lot of great things. I mean, we haven't used Opus Clip in a year. I can imagine Opus Clip is 10 times better than it was a year ago, just because of the advancement.
Another one that comes out. It's another one's going to come out and do even better. It's just, it's no shortage of AI companies that are coming out. I think, it can be intimidating for sure. But obviously, if we stick to our niche and what we're at, and then I think that maybe we can hone it down a little bit to understand it. But as long as we keep up with the things that are coming out to help us grow it, I mean, I think that the sky's the limit on what it can do.
Yeah. I mean, I stand by, and I brought this up a couple months ago within our business, and this is a little inside baseball inside of our business, but I think it's important for our guests that are listening to this, that understand this, I think one of the other things that almost every company should have is an a technical AI specialist. And that's not somebody who is like a developer, right? A developer's good. It's not somebody who's like in IT, but it's a AI specialist. All they do is learn, understand, and grasp all of the AI that's coming out there and understand what it is, how it can benefit the business, and they are a researcher and a studier on how to do it and then bringing that into the team. Because I think that probably is a thing that will be an even more engineer level role for a lot of companies. We discussed it, we never moved that way, but I think now even as we have developed into our development team, that probably might need to be the foundational side, which is how knowledgeable and in tune are these people into all of the advancements of the AI differentiators.
Yeah, I mean, you talked about it with the team at one point, is that, I mean, how passionate are you about this? Because
right.
with AI, how much it changes, if you're not keeping up with it, you're just going to be left behind.
Right.
So it's something that we've had to focus on is our passion within it, and the people that we're bringing on, are they passionate about the goal that we have and where they're going to go with the vision squared away for long term and where we want to be at? Is your vision aligned with that and what you want to do with your goals and your career? Obviously, it's a couple of things we have to focus on with that.
Yeah. So Matt, we still don't have Andrew back. He's messaged me. He's letting me know he's getting back. Here he comes. So yeah, I mean, AI is, it's a exciting, scary part of the business, but I think that like our philosophy on it, and Andrew, I'd love to hear your philosophy on it, is we can ignore it and act like what Jeff Bezos said is not reality. But I would bet on Jeff Bezos understanding the market better than the average person. And so for me, I think why you see those 11,000 or whatever number you used, AI companies coming out, is I think that everybody understands it's a pivotal part of what's there. And either you can build something or you can buy something. And for us, our thought was, I'd rather us invest into understanding it at a level that's more advanced than the average entrepreneur, so that when it becomes there, we at least have more than a entry-level knowledge of it. And if we happen to catch the iron striking hot on what we do, then great. But Matt and my focus is we're building products that are to our unique skill sets. Matt and I are developing a real estate wholesaling virtual assistant type of AI service. And we've been staffing dozens and like we have about 30 different clients that use us for real estate virtual assistants today on a staffing market, and having the ability for AI to supplement and ultimately replace that staff for our clients just offers more versatility for us. So that's our thought process around it. You've got a development team you're building. You've got an in-house team. What I was talking about with Matt is one of the things that I believe we need to add to our team, and I'd be interested to see if yours is having an AI expert strategist. And it's not a developer, it's not an IT specialist, but it's a person who is so well studied on all the new features that OpenAI just came out with this launch, and ChatGPT just came out with this feature, and Gemini and Grok, and all these new advancements. Studying, knowing, and really being understanding of that, I think is a necessity for a company like yours, and in a forever growing necessity for us. What do you think?
Give you advice. It's very, very smart thing to do. Yeah, I would encourage that.
What I like about your company, Andrew, is that it's with the ever-evolving AI and how less human interaction you'll get because of it, yours still encompasses that human interaction that people were looking for with the direct mail and everything. I think that's it's kind of meriting both sides of it, to where like you're still not just getting a text or an email or something like that. It's an actual message that's thought out and sent over to them. I think that's going to be a good way for us to, or for you guys to really understand and hit it on that point, because I think people are missing that in a lot of places, and I think that's going to be a really good business option for you guys. So I think
that's the separator, though, Matt. Like, I mean, I think that Andrew would believe that too. Is there are everybody out there doing email campaigns. Everybody's doing text campaigns. I mean, how many companies do we know that are using LinkedIn with a massive LinkedIn outreach campaign? Very few people are using the nostalgic experience of mail. And I think that when you get something that you can touch, feel, maybe scratch and sniff, Andrew, that's another thing you want to add, scratch and sniff. You can smell to the card, add that dynamic. Any final words for the audience? Hopefully they took something huge from this, from Andrew. Hopefully this, in my mind, why I asked Andrew to be here is because hopefully this allows other entrepreneurs to stop thinking so much in the box, to Andrew's point, there are thousands a day AI companies. When there's an idea like this sitting right there in front of you, but nobody's thinking about it because they're so focused on the shiny object that some of the boringest business are the best businesses. Some of the richest people in the country run boring businesses. So instead of chasing that shiny object like everybody else, sometimes the boring business is right there in front of you. Matt, what do you think about that?
Phone.
I mean, yeah, he's making maybe a potential boring business into an exciting one.
I hear you.
What mine looks like right now too, so don't worry about it. No, when we were just talking about, obviously what Matt was just saying here is, as we wrap this up here, that what you've done is you've taken, I wouldn't call it a boring business, but direct mailer could be a boring in general. You made it look obviously better and improved on that. Instead of what Matt was saying, trying to find the shiny object and the new AI tool that's crazy out there and something like that, you found something that will resonate with people and to really give them the best results. But obviously it's not something that's crazy shiny off of it. It's something that a lot of people have done forever, but now you've made it even better. So what are your thoughts on that as you roll out of here?
Yeah, that's the idea. I saw, it's, a wild story about how this kind of idea concept came to me, but I saw a real problem every time I went to a party. I was like, I'm already late. I got to go to a store, grab a gift card. This is ridiculous. This is a problem that we shouldn't have in this day and age. And at the same time, then just kind of thinking about how other ways you can improve this. And just like, as I was thinking more about it, because then after that idea wouldn't leave my head, I was just like kind of obsessive about it. And then what are the other applications? Because then I started getting into building, a modern pitch deck and just all these different ways of what this could look like, until I was like, wow, this could be like an Amazon in terms of like total addressable market. American Greetings, Hallmark, they're $3.5 billion a year each, and that's just on the consumer side. And then there's a $50 billion B2B outreach, so then I'm just like, okay, what could this look like? And is it worth pursuing? And the answer from a TAM standpoint is yes. And what I loved also is that it's something I could believe in. It's a human first, product that could touch a lot of lives, change the world positively. It could benefit from my skill set. There's just so many yeses. And then of course the other one is just like, it's not going away. People are always gonna be sending greeting cards. It's a critical human thing. It's possibly one of the most touching, heartfelt gifts we'll ever get from someone. And why not even make it even better with a video from that person that's stored forever?
Awesome. One of the biggest things you did, though, is you had the idea, you saw the problem, you had the idea, then you put the idea into action, which I think a lot of people struggle with. A lot of people can have plenty of ideas, but putting into action is another thing. So, awesome. Is there
have you ever heard that quote? Before we wrap, have you ever heard that quote? Where the number one location that houses all the best ideas ever created? Do you know that location? The cemetery. Because so many people had so many great ideas, but they were never able to put those ideas into action. And they died with those ideas because either they were scared or didn't know how to do it. So I would say, the thing I love about entrepreneurs is the willingness to bet on themselves, the willingness to have a bold idea and to be even bolder to put it into place. And so Andrew, for you, good job on that. I hope to be able to be of help for you in any way possible as you guys continue to build this journey. I know Matt will marry that. We would ask obviously nothing in return and to be able to help you, but I'm excited to see you guys turn this into the next Amazon or Vistaprint or whatever you might want to make this be. I think you got a great idea, and I'm excited to watch it grow. Before we go, is there any final words you want for us, Andrew?
Again, thank you guys so much for having me on, supporting us, believing in the mission. It's been great meeting you guys. I hope to work with you someday. Thank you so much to the audience. If you want to learn more about how Forevercard can help you engage, retain, and grow, I'd love to have a conversation with you. Even if it doesn't go anywhere, would love to meet and talk about how we might be able to work together.
Yeah, Andrew, if you ever need a beta tester for real estate wholesale, I'm here for you. I need some properties in my way, so there you go.
Perfect. I got someone.
Perfect.
Absolutely,
Awesome.
Matt.
Okay, great. Thank you guys. If you guys got anything from this like me and Matt did, please like, share, subscribe, comment, hit the bell icon. We drop these episodes every Friday at around 9 a.m. Let us know what you think about it in the comments, please. And we'll link all of Andrew's socials, all of his websites, and everything for you guys to check out. If you guys see it being a positive in your business, please reach out to Andrew. I'm sure he'd love to talk to you and see how we can help you out. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, guys.